All right, people, welcome to another episode of the Elevated Audio Podcast. I'm your host, Rog Elevate. This is my co-host.
Chris Audio.
We're
What's
back
good?
again, back at it. We didn't wait 2 years to do another episode. Yeah,
I know, man. The other time was way too long of a hiatus.
I mean, we got babies, we got like other stuff, but that was definitely long.
Yeah, definitely.
But
What are we talking about, Raj?
we're talking about this episode we're talking about artists and producer Bleh. Artist and producer combos. Dream. We're gonna talk about a few ones that we would like to see and a few that actually people have seen and that are actual thing. So on a side note, I'm definitely glad I get to wear this hoodie and I don't got my AC on right now. It's just like naturally
Nice.
cold and it's just a
What's
nostalgic feeling.
what's the temperature there?
It's like
I mean, give or take. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be exact. I don't want you to send you running for.
like it's 60 and it's like 70, but it
Yeah,
feels it feels like 60, like 63, 65 around there.
nice. I'm hoping it's like I'm going out there like next week. So,
It's still
you know,
warm up there, right? In Miami?
man, it's always warm, man. Shit. It'd be like 50 degrees in Orlando. It's like 80 degrees in Miami. Like it's cool, because when everyone else has like snow and shit, it's like 80 degrees here. So like I can't complain about that. But at the same time, it would be kind of nice to not be sweating my balls off every single time I get out of the car or step out of my house. You
Mm-hmm.
know? But there's worse problems in the world.
Right, right. I mean, this is way off topic and we're gonna get to the topic, but you know those condos that collapsed in Miami? Are,
Hmm.
are you near those?
Not really. I mean, that's like I used to work like right by there actually.
That's
But
insane, dude.
but
That
yeah, that's
was
just what? That's just how decision makers and the people who run the city run the city.
they don't give a fuck
They
until
don't care, man.
condo.
They'd rather deal with cleaning up a problem than avoiding the problem. You know what I mean?
Right, right, because there were clear signs that that thing had problems, man. The thing had
Man,
problems.
yeah. I mean, you're talking about a city that's like built on fraud and corruption. To be honest, I mean, hey, I love Miami. This
So
is where I was born and raised, but
They have like a Grand Theft Auto video game
you
dedicated
know,
to like Miami Vice or whatever, right?
I'm saying, dude, seriously, I guess it's not that far off.
Yeah,
Crazy. But yeah, that's a good like 20, 25 minutes from where I live.
word. Yeah, just crazy situation. But anyway, let's talk about what we came to talk about. You want to go first? Drop your first collabo.
Yeah, man. So it's a little tough. Oh man, I just thought of another one actually. That's kind of crazy.
Ah,
This always
there you go.
happens, man. I'm gonna say there's two that come to mind. I'm not gonna go so obvious. Like there's like the really obvious ones of like collabs that like we all know. And this, I mean, like Jay Z and Just Blaze is actually like a big conversation right now because I don't know if you heard, like literally, like Kanye West had his interview on
Mhm.
he was on Drink Champs like
Really?
yesterday.
No way.
Yes. Apparently, I don't know. That's what I've been reading. I didn't check it out yet, but
Why you
apparently he
repeat
was he
yourself?
was talking shit about Just Blaze. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, he was on Drink Champs. Yeah, he was talking about all kinds of shit. But anyway, I think that some of Jay Z's best work was on Just Blaze beats. But that's not even. I don't want to go with like the obvious ones,
Yeah.
like Kanye and Jay Z, or like Jay Z and Just Blaze or whatever. I'm gonna go with like there's two. I'll say the first one. This to me, because I just brought up his name. This to me is like one of the best albums I've ever heard. And it's just I thought it was a beautiful album, top to bottom. The production's great. The content is great, and it's just there was definitely, you could tell there was like a chemistry there. And of course, I'm talking about Common and Kanye West album B, um, which I think is a perfect album. Now, admittedly, I think Dilla had two beats on there.
Hmm.
Um, but for the most part, Kanye West produced most of that album. And yeah, that album's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Raj, your thoughts?
huh?
I said, Raj, your thoughts?
On that
Yeah,
collab,
yeah, 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 on that.
man. Like just the chemistry, bro. It kind of like reminds me of that Kanye West and Talib track. There's that chemistry of like how well that flows together.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
What you got?
Um. So let's see. There's a few that came to mind. Which one do I want to talk about? So Jay Z and Timbaland. I want to see them do more stuff. You know, I know they got a few hits,
Yeah.
and that's like an obvious one too. But I don't know. I just
Yeah,
want to see that.
but
I just want to.
still, like those are some of like Jay Z's like most iconic songs, you know.
I want to see some
See what? So let's
re
see. Timberland did, "Dirt Off Your Shoulder,"
mm,
right?
which is like one sample. It's like like
Yeah,
two.
yeah, it's like for especially for Timberland, that is like a basic ass beat. In terms of like what goes into the beat. Um,
Right.
I don't even think he would argue with that. It just is, you know. But hey,
Hmm.
man, it works, you know.
Yeah.
Um, what's
Right.
the what? I mean, Big Pimpin' obviously is one of Jay Z's like biggest songs like ever. Um, and that's I think that's probably a little more involved. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know what the hell he sampled for that, but that's just so cool. I don't even know what the hell he sampled for that, but I like it.
He shot the video in Trinidad.
What's
Which
that?
he actually shot that video, Big Pimpin' in Trinidad.
No shit. I didn't know that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So suffice to say, that song is a special place in your heart.
For sure. For sure. I remember like memorizing the lyrics to it
Of course.
when I was younger. Not even I didn't think I knew I didn't think I knew that it was shot in Trinidad.
Oh,
That
like at the time?
yeah, I just Jay Z lyrics. One of the first lyrics I started.
Yeah.
Him and like Cassidy and like some real super underground ratchet rap. But another one.
Yeah,
Come,
go ahead. Good. I'm gonna ask you a question after this next one.
okay. But you just want to ask me or
All right, fine. I was gonna say because I was just thinking like because the first one I said was basically an artist and a producer who just collabed like on an album, and you mentioned an artist and a producer who you just kind of you like the work that they do together.
yeah.
Now, as an artist, or not even as an artist, but as like a music fan, do
Mhm.
you enjoy more listening to albums? Like, let's say your favorite artist, it doesn't matter who the artist is, let's say it's Nas, let's say it's Jay, let's say it's Pun, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Whoever your favorite artist is, do you prefer to hear your artist work with like a variety of producers, or do you think do you like the idea of like your favorite artist working with like one producer for a specific project? I'm not saying for everything, but like
Um.
on each project work with like a
Uh,
specific producer.
I would like. Well, for instance, I would like a Jay Z and just Timbaland album, like
Right.
exclusive. Um. Yeah. Yeah. To answer your question, for sure, I would like to see albums that are just exclusively one producer and one artist, just
Right.
because you get to see a body of work manifested with just those two
Right.
entities. You know, yeah.
The reason I asked the question is because I mean I personally like that, but I think that those type of scenarios I think favor both parties. You know what I mean? I think that the producer's providing the full canvas for the artist to work with. But the producer he's also benefiting too because he's like, look, I produced this entire project. And if someone's really trying to hear a lot of your work, they can find it all in one place, you know, instead of being like, oh yeah, I produced this one beat on this album, and then one beat on this album, and one beat, you know what I mean? Where, and the other aspect of that is like, yeah, usually in those scenarios, the producer is kind of like working in tandem with the artist, like they're kind of sharing the vision, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where it's like I've, like when I've produced like songs for people, like for their album, it's just like one song or whatever, two songs, three songs. I have no idea like how that the rest of the album's gonna be. And I don't know if like that one song really even fits on the album. I don't know
Yeah,
like how
yeah,
they're sequencing the album. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I feel like there's a little bit less like you're kind of you're kind of like at the mercy of the artist at that point to hopefully that song that you produce is fitting in pretty well
Yeah.
within this grand picture, that they're
Yeah.
putting together. You know what I
People
mean?
hear that, and I guess depending on, like you're saying, the sequence of where the track is or in the vibe of the
Yeah.
album, they're gonna get a certain they're gonna have a certain perception of your beat, you know?
Right. 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 Yeah.
Like
Because I mean, like, it would be like, I mean, this obviously this hasn't happened because I haven't produced for this artist. But let's just say I produced a song for like Rick Ross, right? And
mhm,
he's got like the beat for like Maybach Music 2, which to me is like the most incredible thing like I've ever heard in my life. And then it's like one of like my like more like chill beats like after that. And it's like, well, don't do me like that because I gotta follow up that beat. Like, and this is like kind of like a basic beat, in my opinion, that I did. Like, that's not cool, you know? So everyone's be like, yeah, this beat's like whatever, you know? Well, it
mhm,
might
right.
have been cool, it might have been fine, but it's like compared to that, it's like, but
Yeah,
you're on control over that,
you're at the
where it's
mercy.
like if the artist and the producer working together, right? You can be like, you can kind of like figure it out together. Like, nah, this is the best way to.
Yeah, you are at the mercy of whoever, whatever album it is, because
Yeah.
like you said,
The executive producer, the artist, whatever.
you can have a whack beat and then your beat shines right after it, or vice
I
versa.
mean, it could work both ways, right?
Or you could have the only dope beat. Chris Audio's beat is the only dope beat on this project. Every other beat is whack. But then like people hear the album, they're like, man, that whole thing is whack. Now like they're looking at you as a whack producer, and you actually have the
Yeah.
only beat on it.
Well, the way, see, the thing that has worked out in my favor is like shit that I've produced for other people. Is that like it's not like that where it's like, oh man, all the beats on this album are whack, but that one beat that Chris Audio did, that shit's fire. Like, not usually like that specifically, but it's like my beat just kind of stands out. It's just a little bit different from all the other ones on there. So then, like, I'll be like, yeah, I think it's a cool beat, whatever. But people are like, oh man, I really like that song because it really stood out and blah blah blah. So I mean, I guess it can work both ways, right? I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah. Did you want to do another one? Another
Yeah,
one.
I think you were gonna say another one before I asked you the question though.
That was, if you're cool with that, because I know
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
read.
go for it, man.
Uh, Another really dope one that has actually happened is Talib, Kweli, and High Tech.
Of course.
That's yeah, that duo right there is just, again, with the energy. And I guess when you get certain creatives, on a project, it's just, you know, this magic, you
It
know,
really is, man.
on depending on,
And,
like,
and honestly, people want to talk about it, but high tech, crazy underrated, man. Crazy underrated as a producer because I have conversations with like people like you and like other producers and artists and stuff like that, like all my hip hop family,
yeah.
and like I'll get in these conversations, we talk about producers or artists or whatever, and like I swear High Tech's name, and I'm guilty of it too. High
Mhm.
Tech's name does not
Okay.
come up enough,
Yeah. No, you
and he's so dope, man.
fire.
Like, and he's one of these dudes who's like put out his own projects, where he like raps a little bit, but he's worked with like all these artists, and then he's producing for other people, and it's like, dude, he's got he's got like a really good catalog, and people don't talk about him like enough, you know. But
Right.
I agree with you on that, and especially the shit that he's done with Talib Kweli. I mean, forget it. I mean, that shit's fire.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Mm-hmm. Who you got?
All right, man. I'm going with literally. This is like to me top 10 hip hop album of all time. And I know that's like a lot of people won't agree with me on it. But if you go back and you listen to the now, when I say the album, people are gonna be like, yeah, the album is like kind of perfect. But if you really think about it in context and think about how it's aged and everything, it really, to me, it's a top 10 hip hop album of all time. And
Mhm.
it is an album with like, well, I'll just say it. So Blue in Exile, Below the Heavens.
Mm,
Me, top 10 hip hop album of all time. That album is perfect, top to bottom.
mm,
Lyrically, the stories, the production's phenomenal.
mm,
Like it's just beautiful, you know, especially if you love like conscious music, like
mhm.
that album's perfect. And yeah, it's you know, they've done other work together, obviously, you know, they've got multiple projects together, but that's like a perfect combination of
Mhm.
producer and artist, you know. And if you know, pretty much anyone, most people who I think are listening to this or watching this probably know what I'm talking about because you're probably in underground hip hop anyway. But if you're not familiar, you're just like a casual hip hop fan and you're not really familiar with like underground music,
I checked.
please go check out that album. Please. I promise you it'll change your life.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I don't say shit like that. Like, I mean, that's like a hyperbolic statement. That album will change your life. That shit is, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's the name of the album again?
Below the Heavens.
Yeah, for sure.
What you got, man?
Oh, Freddie Gibbs and Madlib.
Oh, man.
Man, that yeah, their chemistry definitely is on on another level. And Madlib by himself, dude, is just like he's another one that doesn't get nearly as much credit as he.
No. And that dude's a wizard, man.
Hmm.
That dude seriously is like a freaking wizard on the beats, man. You just it's actually he's like one of those producers that like I listen to his shit and I get discouraged. I get discouraged because I'm just like, I'll, like he's ridiculous. And then like, because the album you're talking about is called Pinata. Like they did an album together called Pinata,
Yeah.
and the reason why I get discouraged is because that dude, not just because the dude is talented and he makes great music. It's not just that, but I think yeah, if I remember right, I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure I heard this correctly that after that album came out, he basically said like I mean they've by the way they've released other stuff together too, but that's the first thing that came to mind. I'm pretty sure he made all those beats on an iPad.
That's
Um
her too, dude. Like on the plane and stuff.
which just makes me so sad.
On an iPad.
Like who was I talking about? I was talking to my boy. I don't know if you know him, Just Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was talking to him the other day. Man, I'm forgetting like what artist we were talking about. Shit, it's gonna come to me, man. It's gonna come to me. But we were talking about I don't know why it's not occurring to me right now. But we were talking about an artist that I was just like I can't listen to much because it makes me so discouraged because I'll never be. Oh, that's who we are talking about. We're talking about Royce the 5'9".
Mhm.
And we're just like I can't listen to him that much because I will never be as good at anything in my life that he is at rapping. Like he's so good at rapping. I'll never be even close to anything in my life as he is at rapping. And I was just like, I just can't even listen to that much because it just discourages me from like trying at anything in my life.
You just gotta use some motivation, man. You know, be like,
No, he's that good. Like he's that dope. Like he's mastered the mic. It's crazy.
he is definitely a master of ceremonies.
But like as but yeah, but like back to the conversation. Like as a producer, Madlib kind of has that same kind of effect where you're just like, what the fuck? Like, like how did he do that?
Yeah, quick story about how they how did Freddie Gibbs and Madlib meet? The two met through Gibbs' manager, who wanted to see if Freddie could rap over Madlib's instrumentals. In turn, the producer sent 8 CDs worth of beats, which is a lot of beats.
That's a lot of beats.
Ultimately, though, he saw it as a way to broaden his fan base and Madlib's too. I bought the streets to the Madlib fans. Oh, so it ended up just being for marketing.
There you
It
go.
ended up really dope. Wow, 8 CDs full of beats. Shit.
That's
Why?
crazy.
You can't just send them one? Send them fucking eight?
I know,
Wow.
right? Or just send him a zip file.
Send him 8 CDs. Wow. Man. Who you got?
Another one that comes to mind, and there's kind of a follow up point on this, but Apollo Brown and Sky Zoo dropped an album called Easy Truth about 5 years ago. I wouldn't go so far to say like top 10 album I've ever heard or anything like that, because I kind of believe we've had a episode about this, but I don't like to get ahead of myself and be like, oh, GOAT or classic or whatever. Like I don't like to put those labels on things too soon. But that's an album that I revisit a lot, and it's a pretty great album, and I think it's gonna age really, really well. But that I think is a great collaboration. I think Skyzoo sounds great. Oh, I mean, Skyzoo's he's just a great artist, but he
Right.
sounds great over Apollo Brown production. And just a follow up point, honestly, something about Apollo Brown's production, I don't know what it is, or he 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 just makes great projects.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
real
with,
cool. Yeah, he's real
yeah, man.
good.
He just brings out that's what I was gonna say. Like he just brings out like the best in the artists that he
Yo, and you
collabs
know
with.
who comes to mind when you bring up Paulo Brown? Planet Asia.
I knew you were gonna say that, and that album is so good.
Oh,
He
him
has an album. He has that Mona Lisa album with Joel Ortiz. He's got the album with Planet Asia. He's got my God, I think he's got an album with Guilty Simpson. I mean, just like I gotta look it up now because there's more.
yeah, and
Um,
there's like these real discreet artists that I'll hear Apollo Brown produce for, and I'm like, oh, that's nuts. Like he definitely doesn't need to work with these people for recognition or like more popularity. He's already got that.
no,
So like shows his humbleness too.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm looking at this here. He did an album with rapper Big Pooh. The words paint pictures. He did. I'm pretty sure that. Yep, Dice Game was Guilty Simpson. He did Anchovies with Planet Asia. He did the Brown Tape with Ghostface. He did Mona Lisa with I just said it, Joel Ortiz. He As God Intended, which you could say is maybe the best album that came out in 2020 with Che Noir.
Mm,
And then on top of that, dude puts out like, oh, he literally just dropped an album like yesterday with Stali. Um,
mm,
and he puts out his own projects, with like a bunch of different artists, like the shit
mm.
that I put out, he just, so but he has multiple collab projects with like different art, and he's got a collab project with Locksmith. Just these are just all great MCs that he's collabing, and these are already great artists in their own right, but he's bringing out, like, I don't want to say he's like elevating their game or anything like that, but he's getting such a great version of them to match his great production, and it's just a beautiful thing,
And
So,
as a producer, you know that like that's what we strive for too, is like to bring out the greatness in artists and like
no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, because it's one thing for the beat to be good, and we can be like, oh, yeah, I really like this beat that I made, blah, blah, blah. And it might be an artist that you really like.
hmm
But even if the artist is really talented, but they don't like what they do on the beat is like, you just kind of feel like you failed. Like really, you didn't give them the proper canvas for them to write to,
yeah.
And it's like, it almost feels like, okay, that beat wasn't good enough, or it wasn't the right match for that artist, so it's like maybe I miscalculated that one,
Well, that's something I always say, man. Like as producers, that's essentially what we're doing, like giving artists a canvas, a blank page to deliver their message and to
Right.
create on, and yeah,
It's
that's
true though, man.
definitely
But
one thing
yeah,
I
Apollo Brown, I guess.
pride
I
myself.
guess I guess the collab I would talk about is Apollo Brown and blank. Insert any artist that he's collabed with, and that's my answer for that one. To be honest.
Yeah, yeah. My next one is Jedi Mind Tricks, Vinny Paz and Stoop.
I
Stoop.
mean, I mean, come on.
That's
I mean, come on.
yeah, underground shit like that hard body. hardcore shit, like they're freaking Pippen and Jordan. Like they're
Straight up. If you know, you know. Like anyone who's listening right now, like you're just like when you said that, you know?
if you don't know, you better look it up.
Yeah, seriously. That's like the Blue and Exile thing. Like if you don't know what you're talking about, if like, you don't know what we're talking about, it that's okay. It's all right. There's a lot of music out there. It may have slipped through the cracks. You know, maybe you just didn't grow up around it. Just
Right. Just look it up.
stop listening. No, don't stop listening. Finish this episode, then go and listen to it.
Yeah, it'll change your life as well. And
That's like another life changing type thing. Yeah,
mhm,
for sure.
right. Mm-hmm. You got any more?
Yeah, I got a couple more, but I think the most notable, I should say, I'd be remiss if I don't mention Chris Audio and Ben Phrases. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying,
Yeah.
Chris Audio's, me, and I've put out a few projects over the last 7 years.
We got some joints
Um,
too.
yeah, we got some joints too, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Phrases and I, that's my business partner, but also,
What's
pretty much my best friend at this point. No
about
offense. I mean,
projects?
you're my friend too. Huh?
Some projects. I want to hear some projects.
Like I've put out a few projects, and I've, got some joints with Ben Phrases on there, right? But I've also got a couple, those like superhero line 1, 2. I got some other shit coming out, blah blah blah. Like this isn't the part
So
of the
what
show where
projects
this
you
isn't the part of the show where we plug shit. But
projects you got with Ben?
yeah, so I got two collab EPs with Ben, Soul Addicted and Soul Addicted 2. Soul Addicted 1, like you would assume, a lot of soul samples. It's really for it's grown folk music. It's just call it what it is. It's grown rap. But that's
Mm,
cool because we're grown. And just like if you want like soulful beats, with kind of like witty wordplay,
oh,
that it's right up your alley. We actually just dropped Soul Addicted 2 earlier this year. It feels like, I mean, so much stuff has happened this year. It almost feels like it happened. I dropped that a long time ago, but it was literally just like a few months ago.
I could
Um,
definitely see people out there now like, oh, he called it grown rap. He didn't call it dad rap.
I mean, I call it dad rap. I mean, I'm not, there's no songs about my kid on there, so I can't call it dad rap just yet. But it is grown rap.
you
So,
know,
but almost.
who calls this shit atmosphere calls this shit dad rap or uh,
I mean, that's another one. Slug and Ant.
oh yeah, yeah,
I mean, shit.
yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna say this freaking Evidence is an ill rapper and an ill producer as well.
You mean collabing with himself?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with that.
I just
What? Okay, so full disclosure, when we first decided on this topic, I completely thought that we were talking about. I completely thought that we were gonna talk about. I'm saying this for everyone who's listening. Um, full disclosure, I thought that we were gonna talk about artists who are the producer and the artist, like J. Cole, like Evidence, like Kanye West. Dudes like that who produce their own shit. You know,
yeah.
that's what I really thought we were gonna talk
Well,
about. And Evidence was one of the first people that came to my mind.
how often do they really like rap off their own stuff? Because I know like yeah, they're rappers and producers, but I'm not sure exactly how much stuff they put out that they produce. And I know J. Cole put out damn lights out, please turn off the lights. I think he produced that
I mean,
joint.
I think he produced that whole album. And then I think he produced For Your
Warm,
Eyes Only.
the
I
warm
think
up.
it was the first like 4 albums. I think he did the majority of the production
Yeah.
for his first 4 albums. I'm pretty sure. Beyond that, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. I mean, I know that's for Your Eyes Only and for 2014 Forest Hills Drive and for his first album, I'm like 99% sure he did all of the production. Because that was one of the things with like 2014 Forest Hills Drive. It was like and then For Your Eyes Only, it was like a big thing that he was like one of the first artists to like go platinum, self-producing and without any features. That was like a big thing at the time, which is like, whether you're a fan of him or not, like, damn, credit is due where it's due.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the dude, like his rapping, but Russ, that dude Russ,
Yeah,
he produces his own
yeah,
shit.
he produces a lot of his own shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Because we're already hitting like a little over 30 minutes. But I wanted to, not that the time really matters, but I don't want it to draw on too long. I mean, because I could talk about this shit for 5 hours. No one wants to listen to me talk for
Never
5 hours.
see me anymore. 30 minutes.
Keep it short and sweet. What is I don't want to say one, but like give me a dream collab that you would
Mm,
like to see. Maybe let me ask you it like this. If you could pick an artist and a producer that you'd like to hear do an album together, what would it be?
hmm. Like new school, old school, doesn't matter,
Doesn't matter. Whatever you want.
dude. I
Something
want
that hasn't happened, obviously. Not like, oh, I
Drake,
want I want to hear Eric B and Rakim put out another album. No. You know what I'm saying?
bro. I want to hear, bro. I want to hear DJ Premier and Most Def
That'd be cool.
put out a project.
That'd be cool.
And Stoop and Immortal Technique.
Yeah. I mean, you just went with like, yeah. I mean, yeah. That'd be dope.
What about you? What's your dream one?
I'm gonna go with one of my favorite producers and one of my favorite artists, and they've never, as far as I know, they've never done shit together. I'm gonna go. Are you okay?
Yeah, I ate a bad blueberry, but go ahead. See my face right now.
I gotta find. I gotta get the still of your face right there and make that the thumbnail for this video. You're just gonna be like,
Like, what are they talking about?
I was like in the middle of talking. I was like, man, something just happened to this dude. Like he just ate. There was like a roach in whatever he was eating, and he just picked it
The
up and ate
sour blueberry, dude. The sour.
it. Nah, man, I was gonna say Ninth Wonder and Nas. Um, that's like probably, certainly in like my top three like favorite producers ever, and Nas is my favorite MC ever. And I don't think they've ever done. I don't think they've ever done a collab at all. And I know that like when Ninth Wonder was like first like getting big, I know like one of the things that he would do is like he would like remix albums. So like when like Jay Z dropped the Black album, they released like the acapellas, and
Mhm.
Ninth like remixed that. I think he called it. I think it was called like the Brown album or something. Like, I don't remember what it was called. But when Nas dropped Godson, he remixed that and made God's stepson or something like that. It was like a play on the name. So I mean, that's the closest thing we have to like a collab album between the two of them. So obviously, it's an album that Nas, had
So,
no part in necessarily.
so now on the topic of Nas, I'm gonna ask you. So there's some speculation or some people's opinion is that Nas's beat selection could have been better on a few of his albums. I believe it was Stillmatic. I think it was Stillmatic.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I mean, if you go, I think if you okay, for example, like I mean, we could do a whole we could honestly do a whole episode on Nas because
We should.
I find this topic like really interesting, honestly, because we could explore like each album or whatever.
Right.
But in kind of in a nutshell, yeah, I think there's a little bit of validity to that. I think in recent years, like the stuff he's done with Hit Boy, like the King's Disease projects, I don't think you can really make that comment. I think that the production is pretty, is takes a pretty big step up on those
Hmm.
projects. I gotta, Hit Boy, just give him credit where it's due.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, I think that Illmatic, obviously, like for the time, especially those beats are like great, and I think that album still ages well and everything. It's classic. Um, I think that that statement's probably it's a little overstated. I think on certain projects, but yeah, I think even I had a conversation. Actually, I had mentioned Just Incredible a little while ago. I had a conversation with him a few weeks ago. We were talking about Nas actually. Yeah, I think we had totally different opinions on this. And like I said, Nas is my favorite MC ever. He thinks Stillmatic is like he holds it in a really high regard. And of course, I love the album, but I think that it's lacking in certain ways. Yeah, and I think that some of the beats are not bad, but just like
Right.
other
Yeah.
one's good, you know.
And plus, we're looking at it from future perspective. That was
Right.
that time. You know.
And I know, and we should put it like in context, right? But at the same time, if it's that good, the context doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like,
regardless, Illmatic is still one of those albums that'll live forever and
put it like
be.
this, like okay, Stillmatic came out what 2001, right? I posted something about Black Album today. That album came out 2003.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to both those albums, in my opinion, I think the production on Black Album ages just fine. You listen to that shit now, and you're like, this still knocks. You listen to Stillmatic now, some of the beats still knock. Some of them, not as much. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. And Nas is my favorite MC ever. I can't stress that enough. Because
Right.
it sounds like because when people make the comment about like Nas and beat selection and stuff like that, it kind of comes off like you're shitting on Nas. I'm not saying that you're shitting on Nas or anything like that, but people will make that comment and it's like, oh well, Nas, blah blah blah, his beat selection sucks, or whatever. Okay, you listening to the words though? Because
Right.
it's yeah. I mean, every artist, isn't perfect,
Yeah,
I mean,
you can never take anything away from him as a lyricist. His beat selection.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a
at
few times
times,
I'm like, man, this beat, I ain't really like that dope. You know what I mean? But not taking anything away from him as an artist.
yeah. And then like I try to go and like revisit projects, see, okay, how does this age or whatever. Like, you remember he dropped Nostradamus, right? And even at the time, people were like, man, this is a weak one, And I went back like, I don't know, like a year ago or whatever, a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and listened to Nostradamus again. And I didn't even like it at the time when it came out. And honestly, even now, like still, like it's not good,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even the production, you're just like, oh, Jesus. Like this was lazy.
Oh, you know what album I really like with Nas on it is A Distant Relatives with Damian Marley.
Okay, that's one of the most underrated projects
Yeah, that thing
because
needs
no one talks
support.
about that. I was talking to someone on Twitter about that. Like that's like when you talk about Nas's catalog, you could talk about Illmatic, Stillmatic,
I'm about,
it was written. That
I'm about,
that that could you can make an argument that's like one of his top 5 albums.
I'm about to post it, dude. Like Distant Relatives, Nas Damian Marley is one of the most underrated albums ever.
It really is, honestly, because when you talk about Nas's catalog, no one ever brings up that project, and it's really good. You
It's
know,
fire, it's fire. I feel like that put Damian Marley in like a different, I mean, he's always been doing like hip hop stuff, and he has really a real hip hop vibe to it and everything. But I
right,
think that project kind of like solidified him, like
right.
you
Like
know,
for hip hop fans, that they were like, "Oh shit, okay, cool." Like,
correct, correct, yeah,
because I think there's just like a natural inclination, like if unless you're actually listening to the music, you just hear the name Marley, and you're like, "Okay, well, he just makes reggae music."
right, yeah,
And it's like, well, listen to this project, man, because
he's different, bro. He's for sure
yeah,
different. Hmm.
yeah. I mean, maybe I find it only find. I mean, back to like Nas, like the only thing, maybe I only find it interesting because it's like one of my favorite artists like ever. But I mean, we really could do a whole episode on Nas because there's certain things I find fascinating because you look at his first. I think that there's kind of a consensus of like what his best like. I think most people would agree like in some kind of order, Illmatic, Stillmatic, it was written or his top 3 albums. I'm not saying that I'm not setting that in stone or anything like that, but I think most people would say that. And
I'm
then between like
Illmatic
albums, like
now.
I think number 4 through like 8, I think people would kind of like everyone's order would be different, you know?
Yeah, I
Very
mean,
different. And I don't and I can't even say you're wrong because I think
for me it's Stillmatic. It was written and Illmatic's number one. That's
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, for me, I think it's a tie at the top with Illmatic and It Was Written, and Stillmatic is right behind those two. And then everything else, it's tough because I think Life is Good is a really good album. It's not perfect, but it's a really good album. Because that Untitled project, um, Distant Relatives, King's Disease 2, I thought was really good. And then Hip Hop is Dead, like people shit on it, but honestly, if you go back and listen to it, that album, you know, has aged pretty well, in my opinion. It's better than I think it's better than most people would regard it. You know.
Mm. I don't know,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
To have Life's a Bitch, New York State of Mind, and The World Is Yours on one
Oh,
project.
man. Yeah.
Like
Nah, forget it.
rap. What is this? You know? Like
No, no, it's ridiculous. And think about when that came out. Like no, but like, come on, man. Like that shit was ahead of its time, bro. Like the rappers coming out now, like wish they could rap like that. And that shit came out 27 years ago, man. Literally.
hmm
Like these I was about to curse. I was about to curse,
I got
man.
five times
That's how passionate I am about that. I mean,
already.
like I understand, like, yes, I know I'm not saying that you're wrong about Stillmatic or It Was Written being better or anything like that. But if we talk about just like people think like, oh, that, we hold Illmatic in a greater light than it really is, in a higher regard than we should. It's not that it's like flatly better than like Stillmatic or It Was Written. Some people say that, but it's not that it's like, oh my God, it's like light years ahead. It's because it's light years ahead for its time. It's a it's like a time capsule that was like retrieved from the future and then taken to 1994. Like you just hear this, man. I'm speechless.
We just gotta do, bro. We just gotta do an episode with just Nas albums.
Seriously, I need to write. I need to write an article about like reminiscing on that album like 27 years later.
Bro.
Like just to say like, man, this is just art, man. But
Right.
yeah, we can have a whole episode about Nas. Maybe we'll do that next time too. I don't know.
Well, so you got any other dudes you want to talk about, or you ready to rap?
Yeah, just a couple of ones that I don't want to like slip through the cracks that that we just like flat out like don't mention, especially as like an underground hip hop fan. Well, this isn't really underground, but like Common has an album with No ID. The Dreamer, the Believer. That's a pretty underrated album, I think, in his catalog. Um, and then some of the stuff that like Ninth Wonder has put out. Like Ninth Wonder and Murs, um, Ninth Wonder and Buckshot. He's put out like multiple projects with each, and they're all really solid.
Bro, I can't believe we didn't mention Gangstar, man. Dang.
Well, that goes without saying because they are like they were an actual group.
Yeah, but shout out to them.
But yeah, shout out to them.
You know, yeah.
But there's other ones I'm sure that we missed there. I mean, there's so many,
There's a lot. And make sure y'all comment who we missed. We want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, like who are your favorites, Like comment like what, some of your favorite combos. Tell us that we're idiots because we didn't mention blah blah blah.
Tell us what
You
it
know?
is like this combo we mentioned. You think will suck.
Yeah. I'm sure there's combos that, I mean, the new one that I'm here that I hear a lot now is like Alchemist. A lot of the stuff that he's doing with Griselda, like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people don't like it, but I think it's amazing. I think it's a perfect match.
Yeah, they probably just don't
Um,
like it because they don't like
they just don't like their style
what
or whatever,
Griselda. Yeah, they
But
don't Griselda's.
man, I mess with their music, man. I mess with it, man. I like pretty much everything that they put out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few tracks I rock with them. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm not like, yo, this is the dopest shit in the world, but like a few tracks, I'm like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
And you tell they
Yeah.
live that life too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. You know what it
So,
is? It's like so there was like an old article. This is back like when Jeezy like first came out, you know, young Jeezy. And like I don't really like Jeezy as an artist, but he never really was like lying in his music and shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't really mess with his music or whatever. But I remember
I know
the
you're not.
first review I ever heard of his music was like, I don't know, man. This is like I'm quoting the whoever reviewed it or whatever. He's like, I believe Jeezy. Like I believe him. You know, I'm seeing it. Like he's painting the pictures. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't really care for his music or anything like that. But like that's kind of like the same way that like you listen to Grisel and you're like, there ain't no bullshit there, man. They're talking real shit, you know?
Yeah. You could sense when somebody's being authentic or not. You know.
Yeah, or they're just like saying bullshit, you know, you can tell, you know.
Yeah. Saying what they know people want to hear.
Yeah, man. So what you got, man? Plug.
All socials. Well, actually, I'm updating the social, so I'm adding now it's a CEEROGELEV8. All socials, Instagram, Facebook. I'm updating the website with that and creating a new website because I think I need to have a professional do it. Because yeah, I got some experience with that, but I want to have a professional do that joint. So
Yeah.
yeah, plug me up. Make sure you hit Elevated Audio Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Like, subscribe, and comment. We want to hear from you guys.
What do you got coming up? You working on any projects?
Yeah, yeah. Got the dropping the video for a track called I Am, and it's gonna be on the upcoming album. I'm not telling y'all when the album's dropping. Still in the works. So just be on the lookout for it.
Sure.
What you
Is it
got?
my turn? Oh, okay. Um, oh, I thought you were about to say something. Um, nah, man. Website soundbreakingmusic.llc.com. Look up anything that's soundbreaking music on all your social media. Um, you know, Chris Audio. That's KHRIS Audio. Pretty much on every social media platform. Um, you know, funny. I refuse to set up a TikTok. Um, and my you know my wife earlier today she's like, do you have a TikTok? And she doesn't have a TikTok, and she's like, do you have a TikTok? I'm like, honestly, I downloaded it and I've never actually opened it because I refuse to set up an account. And she's like, yeah, right, you have an account. I'm like, no, no, I'm serious. It's like kind of like a running joke now, like on the podcast, that like at the end of like every episode, I'm plugging all my socials and I say every social media outlet, every social media platform except for TikTok because I refuse to add another social media platform to my phone. I just like I don't need to waste any more time, but not totally a waste of time because we get to spread our music to all you lovely people. Um, but yeah,
Facts.
that was a little tangent. Um, but yeah, at Chris Audio, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, if you want to. I talk a lot of college football and a lot of music, so that's a fun place to get involved and get into conversation. Subscribe to this YouTube channel or subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to this, because you know that helps us out a lot if you subscribe and you know engage with us. You know, comment, like, share it. You know, um, we'd love to you know build up this platform as much as we can. You know, and yeah, man,
For
we're
sure.
working on a few projects, working on a few shows. So
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
something in the works.
We're busy. We're staying busy. We'll catch y'all next time for the next episode. In the meantime, be great.
Peace.
Peace.